Now, let's create an animation test for our character. That way, we can test the range of motion our character has and the different kind of expressions that it can do. So for that, I am going to open a new Maya and I'm going to click File, Create Reference. So here, I am going to import my rig. I already know the path of my link that I have here, Maya files, and I know that I'm working on this version, so I'm going to reference. What this is going to do is going to import my rig, but it works better than a simple import. If I do an update on my Maya file, I will have the update here too. So this is how animation work on different kind of rigs. That way you can have different files with different animations, and if you just update your rig, you can just do reference editor, you can click your file and click reload, or you can change any version you want. That way you will never lose your animation and you will always have the last update of the rig. I don't want to see any colors for now, so I will just click use default material, so let's do some poses. First, I made a plan for my animation, so I am going to start with a super happy face, then I will change to surprise, angry, happy, sad, scared, then I will make an expression in which my character is thinking, and I will finalize my animation with an evil laugh. On my animation, I want to change to a different expression each second, so there are a total of 8 different expressions that I want to make, so it's going to be 8 seconds, and I know by fact that each second is 24 frames on my time slider. That's why I want here to have a 200 frames here on my time slider, to be able to have the whole animation here. I am going to start making keys every 24 frames, so I'm going to select all the controls. That's why I want this to be as reference, because I don't want to select the geometry or any other thing I want. That's why we did that. And I'm going to select all the controls. I'm going to make a key every 24 frames. So it's on 24, on 48, on 72, 96, 120, 144, 168, and 192. So these are 8 different frames in which I will have different expressions, and I will start doing my animation. As I said, I'm gonna start with a very happy face, so I'm going to move my mouth corner controls. I'm gonna open my jaw a little bit. Then I will probably move this a little bit up. I want to move also my teeth. So I'm going to select my teeth here. Want to see my teeth here too. Now I want to change the expression on my brows. So I'm gonna move the mid brows up. Also these ones, the ones in the middle. And I want to open my eyes. I will also move my up cheeks up and my nose. So this is going to be my first expression. I will also move these ones a little bit. This is going to be the first one. I also want to have some squash and stretch. So on a happy expression, usually the head stretches a little bit. So I'm going to just stretch this a little bit only. Maybe something like that. And I'm going to make a key again. So I select all the controls. I will press S again. And I now have, by the way, I forgot to do the first expression that I want to be neutral. So I'm going to reset all my controls to 0. And I will mark a key here. So now we have this transition. This is the first expression I want. Probably the eyebrows are too high, so I will move them a little bit down. This is my first expression. Also, I want to move the lower lids a little bit up. And this now looks better. This is the first expression. Then I'm going to change to my next expression, that is surprise. So for that, I am going to open the mouth. We'll close the mouth corner a little bit. Also, my eyelids are going to be very open on this one, both, because it's a surprise expression, and a lot of squash also here. Now my nose too. Open my nose. And my objects are going down on this one. So this is my surprise expression. For example, at this moment, I noticed that I want also one control to move this up and down. So I would probably add an extra blend chip here. We have these two, but I want one on the center. So that's what I notice when I start making this kind of tests. That's for what we riggers need to do this kind of tests to know what our rig is missing. So I will add later on my free time, for example, one extra control here on the center of the mouth to be able to move this area. This will give me extra control on these kind of shapes. And I would like, for example, to be able to do something like that, to have a better shape here and to be able to open the lips a little bit more. So that's why I think we are missing one control here. So I will add that later. I'm also going to do this here. And I will make another key here. I will put this as reference. Make another key. So you will see we have the first expression, then the second one. I will not enter in a lot of detail right now, but for this expression, I would ideally want my head also to go back. Something like that. So it feels like he's looking up. Then the next expression is going to be happy. So it's this, no, it's angry, I mean. Then the next expression is going to be angry. I'm going to make now an angry face. I will move all my brow down. Also these ones too. You see we can have very nice lines here, so I like that. And my eyelids are going to be closed. Move this a little bit up, something like that. And now my mouth. I would ideally not have symmetrical shapes. This will look a little bit better. Can do something like that. And the nose. And optics. And on this angry face, I'm gonna do a squash here on the jaw. And also a little bit on the head. And I will mark another key. So now we have surprise, angry, happy. I will do the rest of the poses here and I will come back. And what these controls can do is to give us this extra detail, like if I want to close this gap, I can do it with these controls. So that's why we did these ones. And I can open more on this side. So there it is. And final key. After finishing my poses, I decided to go back to my rigging file to add 2 extra controls. So I decided to add this one and this one. If you add them, make sure that they work well with the other ones we already have. And now I can update my rig file on my animation scene very easily because we are using references. This is the current animation we have, but we don't have the extra controls we already add. For that, I am going to go to my file reference editor and I am going to update my rig. I am working on my version 13 of the rig, but on the new update, I added 2 extra controls to the next version, that is version 14. So I will just change this number 13 with 14, and I will click reload, and my rig is going to reload. As you see, now I have those extra controls I added, and the animation is still there. That's why using reference is always recommended when doing animations. So now I can fix the poses that I wanted to fix, especially this one. And I will add some movement here and more here. So you can see the difference without it and with it. And I will mark a key. I also added some movement to the neck and to the head on my keys, so my character feels a lot more alive now, you can see. And now I'm going to create a camera. I'm going to do an orthographic camera, new, front. I'm going to rename this to animation camera. And I will pose this one here. And let's see how this looks. So now we need just to animate for this camera. We don't need to worry for any other angle because this is the camera I'm going to use for a final render. So I will polish a little bit the poses with this camera, and then I will add more detail to my animation. And I decided to add some simple materials to my character. These are not textures, they are just simple materials. So you can just click your character, assign new material, and you can do a blend, and here you can, on the material attributes, you can select a color. So it's honestly not like a big deal, so I just did that, it's pretty easy. And now I will polish a little bit more my animation, because I need more keys here. At this moment, we have 1 key on each of the poses, but it doesn't feel very organic. I will click play, and if you see, like, the expressions are changing very fast. So what I actually want to do is to hold a little more each expression. For that, I am going to copy each of the keys and I will paste it on another area, so I will have this range with the same expression. But first of all, I'm gonna start changing my time slider attributes, because at this moment, this is running at 50 frames per second and I want this to be run at 24 frames per second. So I will click this icon on the corner and I will be sure that frame rate is 24 frames per second, but I actually want to change the playback speed. This is on the time slider section. I want to change this to 24 frames equals 1 second, so save. And now my animation is going to be slower. This is the real time. And you can see that it is changing like, I don't like it a lot. I would rather hold a little bit more each of the poses, so I'm gonna do that. I will hold all my controls and I will right click on my first frame and I will click copy. Then I will paste it on the frame 20. So I will have 20 frames for my pose. And then I will give 4 frames for the transition to the next pose. I will paste the key here. And now if you see, this holds the same pose. And I only have 4 frames to change the pose. I will try that first, maybe we will modify that later. Then I will copy the next frame and I will paste it on 44 because it's on the frame 24 plus 20. I want to have the same time on each of the poses. I will paste it here and I will do the same for all of them. This is on the frame 48, so I want to paste it here on 68, paste. Then this one is on 72. and I want to paste it on 92. I will keep doing that. And now let's see how this is looking. I like a little bit more this. It feels better for me. You can do whatever you prefer, but this is what I'm liking right now. So you hold the pose, then it changes very fast. And to finalize my animation, just to make it look a little bit more organic and not so robotic, I'm gonna select all my controls, and I'm gonna go to my window animation editor, graph editors, and I'm going to edit a little bit these curves. Right now they are linear. If you see, they have these straight angles everywhere, so that's why it looks a little bit robotic. So I'm just going to try with the other options. Going to select this. If you see that curves change, they were like that. You hold this. This is going to make better curves on your animation. It depends on what you want, honestly. So I am not an animation artist, but this is what I usually do. I think it feels a little bit more organic. And I will click play. And this is it. I'm gonna go to my panel, orthographic, animation camera. This is my camera. You can adjust your camera here, whatever you want, maybe something like that. And once you want this position on your camera, you can just view, select camera. You can lock all your attributes. So now you can't modify the camera. You cannot move it. I will just lock them. I don't want to hide them in case I want to move this. So I will just click lock selected. And this is the final result of my animation. But I want to export this to a video format like AVI or MP4. And for that, I am going to do a playbust. So I'm going to go to my time slider, right click, and I will click playbust on the box. This will open my menu. And I want this configuration. So as format, I want to have AVI format, that is a video format for reproducing videos. Encoding, I will write known. I want the 100% quality, 100% scale. And the display size, you can customize these here. I want these measurements, but I prefer to use the render settings. You will see why. If you activate your resolution gate, you can actually see the final result. So I'm gonna do it from render settings. I will close this and I will open my render settings here. And I will write 1920. This is the measurement I want. So I just need to zoom out this and see if this is going to work. I think this is good enough. And I will now go back to my playbust from render settings, and I just need to define a path. So my video is going to be saved on this folder. I will call it animation test version 1. And I will click apply. This is rendering right now, so it takes a few seconds. And now we have our animation on a AVI file here. And this is the final result of this workshop. I hope you guys enjoyed this workshop a lot. I will look forward for your final results. Feel free to tag me on LinkedIn if you upload your final animation so I can comment or I can share. I will write my LinkedIn on the description of this workshop so you can connect with me and tag me if you are going to upload an amazing animation. Thank you all. Wish you the best.